Welcome back to the Endgame Ultimate Iron Man, where I try to complete all of the best in slot gear without ever banking. In the previous episode, we finally got to test out the Tumikin Shadow, completed some combat achievements, and made some progress towards the Master Tier combat achievements. And that brings us up to now. So I'm just using up these noted gems that I got from the Whisperer, and I wanted to quickly show off this method before moving back into the action. This guy in the Piscator's fishing colony is great because he functions as a bank and a general store, so you can cut through the noted gems very quickly while selling them back to the shop. If you do want a little bit of extra money, you can either hop worlds or have an alt buy the gems from the shop. So another challenge that I and many other ultimates face is the perpetual battle of inventory and bag space. These Toadflax and Dwarfweed stacks have been slowly growing in my bag. Both of these have been sitting in my bag for nearly 3 years, and it's time to deal with them. For the Dwarfweeds, we will be making them into ranging potions. I wanted to at least try out the altar by the Goblin Village for wines. It's very safe, but it's just too slow, and I'm going to need to go elsewhere. But unfortunately, that does mean going into the wilderness. The Deep Wilderness Dungeon gives noted wines of Zamorak, and this is the fastest way to collect them and the most convenient since they do come noted. But there's a reason why I've neglected this for so long. I've got a ton of Dwarfweeds, and that means I'll need to spend a lot of time in the wilderness. And before doing anything in the wilderness as an ultimate, I always need to set up a death pile to protect my items. But this comes at a cost, as I've only got 1 hour to get my items back. Otherwise, they will all be permanently deleted. One miscalculation of the time on my end could be a fatal mistake. I can comfortably collect about 600 wines an hour. This means that I'll need to spend at least 10 hours in the wilderness, all while my entire account's progression lies on the floor. And that's not even taking into account any PKers that I may encounter along the way. I know this shouldn't be a big deal, provided I pay attention to the timer, but it's still a pretty stressful situation to be in. Alright, so now that I've set up my death pile, I've got exactly 1 hour of in-game time to get back to my items, otherwise they will be gone. So I'll just show off my route for the first go. I just need to grab my runes, staff, and construction cave, and I will be heading into the deep wilderness. I'm also going to be bringing along my main, just to stand there so that if a PKer does log in, there's a small chance that my main will get attacked first, and I can safely log out on the ultimate. I also decided to go to the LMS shop at the Enclave and buy some Blighted Manta Rays. I don't know if I'm even going to need them, but I've got them just in case. And one final thing before we get too far into the wines, the wine spawn rate is actually dictated by however many players are in the world, so it may seem to be in your best interest to go to a lower population world, as there'd be less players to potentially attack you, but the spawn rates are significantly better on the higher population worlds. What's this guy doing? I'm just gonna hop. What is he doing? Oh my god, this guy. Okay, so after all that back and forth with that rando there, I managed to get 452 wines, a little less than what I wanted to get. The timer does say I still have 14 minutes left, but I don't like to cut it that close. I like to give myself plenty of time to get back, so we are gonna go reset our pile. I always have this like moment of panic when I load back into Prif that my stack of items just isn't gonna be there, and honestly I don't know what I would do if they weren't sitting there. Okay, here is the loot from round 2. Got like 100 more this time. I know I can get like in the 600s, but honestly I'm just waiting for the worlds to actually populate so that I can get those faster spawn rates. Okay, end of round 3, and we finally got over the 600 mark with 12 minutes to spare for my pile, and it looks like we've got a little bit of action going on at the Mage Bank finally. And between all the death piles and wilderness trips, I'm splitting up the herb lore because I'm constantly alert while I'm in the wild, and I do need to chill out for a bit. Alright, so we successfully evaded our first PKer. Okay, so I successfully logged out from the same guy again, but he ended up attacking and killing my main. This clip right here is about a 15-minute gap after I ran back on the main. He isn't attacking me this time because I put up quite a fight the time before, despite my absolute rag gear, and he knows that I don't have any loot. But I think I managed to persuade him that my ultimate was never actually here telegrabbing wines. Anyway, after like 10 trips of wines, I eventually got enough to make all of my dwarf weeds into ranging potions. This put me just over 6,000 ranging pots, and that's probably going to be lasting me for quite a while, but now we're going to be moving on. Alright, so I went back to the moons to grab my scythe that I had stored there, because we will be needing it for this next task. And that is the Shellbane Gryphon. This boss was released alongside Sailing back in November, but the combat achievements did not come out until a few months later. Well, I finally got them assigned to me, so I'm going to try and knock these out as quick as I can. The achievements here all seem pretty simple, as this is targeted towards early to mid-game players, so these really shouldn't take that long. First kill, that is perfect Shellbane completed. The fuck is a Griffin Feather? Shellbane Speedrunner completed. That is to get 10 kills within 12 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so I realized that I was actually taking extra damage because my weight wasn't high enough. The boss has an attack that deals bonus damage if your worn equipment is below a certain number. So to counteract this, I disassembled my Slayer helm, and I'm actually just using my black mask instead. Doesn't really make sense, but the black mask weighs significantly more than the Slayer helm. And that is the Shellbane Survivor achievement. That is to kill the Shellbane Gryphon 25 times without leaving the cave. And I guess for this task, you need to take off all your clothes, and that washes away the acid? Anyway, that is the dry cleaning task completed. Yo, and that's Shellbane Veteran. Let's go. Now we can get out of here. And you know I had to smuggle out some loot to sell. Anyway, here is the Shellbane Gryphon. All the combat tasks green logged, so now I will be moving on to something else. So the current goal at the moment is to go for the Master Combat achievements. For this goal, I'm going to be required to take on a lot of bosses that are Slayer only, as you saw in the previous clips. So we're going to be doing a lot of Slayer, and I want to talk about another Slayer-focused goal. Since we're going to be blasting through these tasks, looking for bosses, it would be kind of wasteful to skip all of the barrage tasks. The barrage tasks are the fastest way of obtaining the Imbued Heart. For those that don't know, the Imbued Heart is the best temporary magic boost in the game. This would pair nicely with the Shadow that I recently got, but using it without the Imbued Heart is essentially like nerfing myself. I would never consider doing melee or ranged combat without potions, so why should magic be any different? It's pretty much going to be a requirement if I ever want to hit any of those speed tasks like the Whisperer or the Phantom Muspa speed time. But anyway, with all that said, we got ourselves a dust level task, so I'm going to rebag and go do it. And here's literally the only reason I've kept the Din's Bulwark for so long, just so I can attack these guys easily. Never lucky. Alright, so I was doing some AFK Slayer while on mobile, and I actually managed to snag this. Kinda crazy. If you didn't know, the Eternal Gem is actually the same drop rate as the Imbued Heart, and unfortunately this thing is not very useful for UIMs, so I will be dropping it. And then after that I did a Konar task and got a couple of Brimstone Keys. Oh my god. Oh dang. That's kinda cool. And to the POH prison where you'll spend the rest of your life. Alright, and now I'm going to be rebagging because we've got a very exciting task coming up next. That's right, we got a Zuck task. I'm currently only sitting at 1 KC, but I will eventually need to get at least 5 for the Inferno achievements. I don't feel confident in my ability to get the speed times just off the rip because I am a bit rusty after not doing this for a long time, so I'm just going to go for the completion, not really worry too much about the achievements just yet. My first Inferno completion was 3.5 years ago with Crystal and Abofa, and our gear has definitely improved since then, and we've got the Slayer Home bonus on top of that, so this should be fairly simple. I'm going to bring the ZCV with me as well, strictly for Zuck, to see if I can help speed up the final fight at all. If you're still learning the Inferno, then my best piece of advice is to treat each wave like it's the end goal. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to save supplies, but this can lead to situations where you die to a simple mistake, only because you chose to sit on low HP. Don't be afraid to use your supplies, after all, that's what they're there for. Also, there's another free resource that you can use to practice, the Inferno Sim. This lets you simulate any wave of the Inferno, even Zuck, and it's all inside your browser. I didn't have this when I was learning, and it would have helped me a ton, so ditch those cheese capes and get out there, get your Infernal capes. Haha, just ignore that combat test there. Okay, and after that I had a Dark Totem saved up in my death bank, so I'm gonna kill Skotizo real quick, and let's see what I can get. Oh my god! No way! Well, we gotta swap the jars out. Sweet. Alright, and I am going to be dropping this Eternal Gem because I really don't have any use for it. I could make the ring out of it, but that's just really not worth keeping on an ultimate. So we're going to say goodbye to that, as well as a few other things too. Alright, as you can probably tell, I got a Greater Demon task, so that means we will be taking on Tsutsaroth. I haven't killed this boss in about 4 years, whenever I went for the Lance. We did get kind of lucky, so I only have about 20 kills here in total. And here are the combat achievements on screen. The method I'm going to be using is freezing him and shadowing him while standing in the corner. I've never done this before, so let's see how it works out. What the fuck? What the hell, man? What? What? Yeah, and I forgot that this boss poisons you, so I'm gonna have to go get some antes and come back. Alright, I don't have any use for this. Let me check the collection log first. Yeah, that was number 2 in 23 KC. Kinda crazy, especially since that was the first kill of the trip, but yeah, unfortunately we do not need this for anything, so I am just gonna be dropping that to the main. Okay, we got the anti-poison this time, so we are gonna go in for attempt number 2. Back to back. Never lucky. Anyway, I also wanted to mention that since I am already on the Ancient Spellbook, that after each kill, I'm just stacking up these minions so that I can Blood Barrage them to get my HP back. Gotta remember that Bones to Peaches doesn't work here since obviously these guys don't have bones. So after the first kill of the trip, it's kind of convenient because I can just sit in this corner, provided that my Ice Barrage lands, and then I can avoid all the damage with just Protect from melee, since the other 2 minions don't even see me yet. Yeah, I cut this one pretty close. I ran out of anti-poison, and I forgot how much it hits for, so I teleported out of there, and I put on my redemption prayer so that I could try and survive a little bit longer to get to my house. The poison damage hits for 16, and I only have 16 HP left, so I opened an interface to stall the damage. But unfortunately at some point, certain interfaces got reworked, so I guess the quest log doesn't count. Yeah, I was pretty annoyed by this because I know this trick works, but apparently I chose the wrong interface. And I did also lose a few items in the death bank as well. That yellow gem that I went very, very dry on no way! Has been deleted, unfortunately. But I knew what I was getting myself into, so I guess we're not going back to TOA anytime soon. Okay, the task I'm currently going for is Demonic Showdown. For this task, I have to kill Krill while all of the minions are dead. So I've got Krill very low, and all of the minions also in one-shot range. Then when all of the minions are dead, I just have to hit Krill like once more, and it should complete the task. Yo, let's go. Demonic Showdown. Let's run the boys. Let's run a train. Yo, let's go. It's 50 kill count. Got a hard clue from a minion, so here is the casket. Oh, Ceradihide. That might be a full set. Let me go check. Nope, not a full set. Still missing the coif. Yo, demonic defense completed. And since we had to use the private instance for the previous task, I figured I may as well go for Ash Collector, which is to kill the boss 20 times in a private instance without leaving. Yo, let's go. Ash Collector. Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
Why?
I never swapped out my task. I have a gargoyle task. Never swapped them? Oh my god.
Silly. I can't believe you didn't see the number not going down.
Well, that's what I went to go check. I was like, dang, I thought it said 185 last time. They're about to get way better. Yeah, this task was really annoying because of Zacko Grinch, the ranger. He kept hitting me, and we can't take any damage from the minions during this kill. Now that I'm actually getting the Slayer Helm bonus, I'm able to blast through this kill so much faster, and it's really not that much of an issue. Yo, finally, Demon Whisperer, let's go. Alright, and that was kill 99. And for the 100th kill, I need to kill the boss while using Demon Bane spells in a private instance. Luckily, I already have the runes for it, and I can just use my max cape to swap spellbooks. Yo, let's go. That is the Bane of Demons and also the 100 kill count, which completes all of the tasks for Tsutsaroth. There we go, another boss, green logged. Let's go. And here are the clues that I got from the minions. Okay. Wow.
Now that's what I call garbage.
Those kind of sucked.
Dude, he got the pit.
Alright, so we got ourselves a gargoyle task. That means we will be killing the Grotesque Guardians. I've only killed this boss a handful of times because, simply put, its rewards aren't very good. Even its GP per hour is worse than just killing regular gargoyles. And if I killed regular gargoyles, then I'd still have a chance of getting the imbued heart. Anyway, I already have a decent chunk of the task completed in the limited kills that I have, because if you kill them perfectly once, then you unlock like 6 different tasks at once. Here's a list of the tasks for the boss. So according to some of my friends, the only tasks that are challenging are the speed tasks. Fortunately, a somewhat recent update allows us to melee Dawn with the Noxious Halberd, which previously could only be attacked with range. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple and just do melee only and avoid any range swaps. One small piece of information that I bet a lot of you don't know is that Dusk actually has a -1 flat armor, which basically means any time that I have an accurate attack on Dusk, I'll hit an additional 1 damage. This gets even better when paired with the Scythe because of its triple hit mechanic. So it's actually giving us a +3. And that small detail actually sends the Scythe even higher on the DPS graph. Because of all that, I'm hoping that our max melee setup with the Scythe is enough to carry us through the Grandmaster time. And just like that, on the first kill without even trying, I got the Speed Trialist task. And the very next kill, I got the Speed Chaser task. And to get the Grandmaster time, I'm actually going to have to shave off 20 seconds because you have to get it in under a minute and 20. Yo, that's a new PB. Just 4 seconds off the Grandmaster speed time. And that is also from Dusk completed, which is to get 10 kills in a row without leaving. There we go. Grotesque Guardians Adept. That is to kill them 25 times. Yo, let's go. Speedrunner. Grandmaster task. Yes, let's go. Till Dawn completed. That is 20 kills without leaving the instance. And I think on that note, I am going to go bank. So the last kind of difficult task that I have here is the Perfect Grotesque Guardians 2. This requires us to get 5 perfect kills in a row without leaving the instance. This one is sort of annoying because there's a bit of RNG on where the lightning is going to spawn during one of the transitions. So you gotta be really fast in the reaction in order to move out of the way in time. Yo, let's go. Perfect Grotesque Guardians 2. Finally got that. There it is. Grotesque Guardians Veteran. 50 KC. And let's check out the log here. 15 out of 15. Let's go. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly use up all of these drops that I got from the Grotesque Guardians. The drops aren't anything special, but all these items will eventually turn into cash, and I will definitely be needing a ton of cash to help fund my shadow, which I'm definitely going to be using at this next boss. But this video is already getting pretty lengthy, so that is going to have to wait until the next one. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. I do want to apologize for how long it took me to get this video out. You know, life just kind of happens sometimes, and I've always got to prioritize that first. My wife and I actually had our first child, and some other stuff happened as well. I'm hoping to get back to regular uploads, and seeing all of your comments and likes really helps motivate me. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Oh.
Come here, baby.
Spin.